18 years into a grinding career as a street lawyer in the small town of Braxton, Virginia, Simon F. Latch is burning out. Drowning in debt, estranged from his wife Paula, and sleeping on a cheap cot in a renovated closet above his office, Simon's only escape is secretly placing sports bets with his bookie, a large, constantly tracksuited man known as Chubb. Into this bleak existence walks Eleanor Barnett. Eleanor is an 85-year-old widow who dresses like a mildly affluent churchgoer, possessing a proper gait and a flash of natural yellow teeth. She wants to update her last will and testament, replacing one recently drafted by a sleazy rival attorney across the street, Wally Thackerman. During her consultation, Eleanor drops a staggering bombshell. She claims her frugal late husband secretly hoarded $20 million in Coca-Cola and Walmart stock, plus millions in cash. Simon's eyes immediately turn to dollar signs. When he reviews Wally's drafted will, he discovers a hidden clause where Wally gifted himself nearly $500,000. Simon warns Eleanor of the deceit, but quickly succumbs to his own greed. Believing this is his golden ticket out of a miserable life, Simon secretly types a new will himself, deliberately hiding the document from his loyal weight-loss-obsessed secretary, Tilly Clark, who goes by Tilly. Simon's version places all of Eleanor's assets into a charitable trust, with Simon installed as the sole trustee, billing the estate at an exorbitant $500 an hour. He quietly brings in the insurance agents from next door to witness the signing, ensuring he has absolute control over the phantom fortune. Complications arise almost immediately. Eleanor's estranged stepson, Clyde Corsack, a greasy-haired, heavily tattooed thug, barges into Wally Thackerman's office demanding a piece of the estate. He pistol whips Wally in a violent rage before fleeing town. Paranoid that the fortune might be a delusion, Simon sneaks into Eleanor's tidy home while she is away and breaks into her desk. He finds a meticulously maintained handwritten ledger tracking millions in stock dividends. Vindicated, Simon fully commits to his greedy charade, treating Eleanor to endless lunches at ethnic restaurants around town, including a Vietnamese spot called Ton Lu's, where she develops a deep fondness for their Saigon ginger cookies. Meanwhile, Simon's personal life collapses. He and Paula formally agree to a divorce, forcing him to reckon with how to protect his 3 children from the fallout. His gambling debts to Chubb hit a dangerous $8,000. He is temporarily saved when an old law school flame, a sharp and alluring FBI agent named Landy, discreetly warns him that the FBI is investigating Chubb's underground operations. Simon pays off his debt and walks away from gambling just in time. Eleanor, an atrocious driver who refuses to surrender her keys, gets hammered on sherry at a neighborhood card club and T-bones another car late at night. She is hospitalized with broken ribs and a battered leg. As her condition deteriorates in the hospital, Simon senses an impending legal nightmare. He brings a medical power of attorney and advance directive to her hospital bed, explaining the documents to her in front of the hesitant hospital staff. She signs them, granting him total authority over her health care. Days later, while on a ventilator, Eleanor develops what the doctors diagnose as acute viral pneumonia. With no brain activity remaining, Simon follows the medical team's advice and agrees to pull the plug. Eleanor Barnett dies on December 30th. Desperate to finalize the estate before the new year to exploit a temporary lapse in federal estate taxes, Simon immediately orders her body transferred to a funeral home for cremation. Just 47 minutes after her death, an anonymous caller alerts the police that Eleanor's passing is highly suspicious. The cremation is halted and an autopsy reveals a horrifying truth. Eleanor did not die of pneumonia. She was murdered with thallium, a colorless, odorless, tasteless, and highly lethal rat poison that has been banned in the United States for decades. Furthermore, forensic toxicologists traced the poison to a box of Saigon ginger cookies. Simon had purchased those exact cookies at Ton Lu's and had Tilly deliver them to Eleanor's hospital room. Simon is abruptly arrested, clad in neon orange coveralls, and indicted by a grand jury for first-degree murder. To make matters infinitely worse, a court-appointed conservator digs into Eleanor's finances and unearths a staggering hoax. Harry Corsack had indeed amassed a massive fortune, but he lost every single penny of it 15 years prior in a catastrophic Caribbean volcano resort investment. Eleanor's estate is actually worth a mere fraction of what she claimed, just a paid-off house and a few modest bank accounts. The millions in stock were a delusion she meticulously maintained in her handwritten ledger to feel important. Simon realizes he has risked his entire life, his career, and his freedom for a total fantasy. The murder trial is relocated to Virginia Beach due to the massive media circus in Braxton. Simon hires Raymond Lassiter, a loud, cigar-chomping, brilliantly theatrical septuagenarian defense attorney. The prosecutor, Cora Cook, known for her tight skirts and sharp courtroom instincts, presents a damning circumstantial case. She paints Simon as a predatory lawyer who preyed on a vulnerable old woman, drafted a self-serving will, laced her favorite cookies with a black market poison, got her to sign a do not resuscitate order on her deathbed, pulled the plug, and tried to burn the evidence before an autopsy could be performed. Raymond counters fiercely, highlighting that over 30 hospital employees had unrestricted access to Eleanor's room, and arguing the Commonwealth has zero direct evidence linking Simon to the thallium.
Following Raymond's stern advice, Simon does not testify to defend himself. After a tense deliberation, the jury returns a devastating verdict: guilty of first-degree murder. Facing life in prison and out on bond pending his official sentencing, Simon's life is over. His family relocates to a distant town to escape the shame. But a miracle occurs late one night when Loretta Goodwin, a senior nurse from the hospital, secretly visits Raymond's office. She points the defense to her Oscar Kofi, a quiet, creepy X-ray technician with receding hair and drugstore glasses. Loretta recalls Kofi acting strangely, entering Elmore's room with no medical cause, and later making disturbing, highly educated comments about black market poisons while drunk at a party with other nurses. Simon enlists Spade, a shady underground investigator, who connects him with Xander, a heavily pierced, teal-haired, cynical computer hacker. Xander breaches the hospital's personnel files and discovers Kofi is a transient worker who bounces between hospitals every few years. Even more terrifying, Xander's incarcerated hacker boyfriend accesses deep web hospital records and finds a trail of mysterious patient deaths perfectly aligning with Kofi's employment history. Following the digital breadcrumbs, Simon drives to Scranton, Pennsylvania, where Kofi previously worked. He tracks down Alan Teal, a bearded, disillusioned former lawyer who quit the profession in disgust to become a volunteer groundskeeper. Teal reveals the darkest secret of all. Years ago, his former powerhouse law firm discovered Kofi was poisoning elderly patients with thallium, but instead of going to the police, the firm's ruthless managing partner, Victor Mulrooney, extorted a massive multi-million-dollar confidential settlement from the hospital to sweep the murders under the rug. Kofi was quietly fired to protect the hospital's reputation and moved to Virginia, entirely free to kill again. Teal hands Simon the definitive proof, a video of a covert raid on Kofi's Scranton apartment, revealing a locked toolbox filled with black market poisons, including a massive stash of thallium. Armed with this explosive evidence, Simon turns to his FBI connection, Landy. The feds move swiftly, raiding Kofi's Braxton apartment just as he receives a new shipment of thallium mailed from South Africa. Kofi is arrested and unmasked as a prolific serial killer who murders patients for a perverted sense of control. During a closed, highly secretive hearing, the presiding judge reviews the FBI's findings and vacates Simon's conviction, formally apologizing for the massive miscarriage of justice. Simon walks out of the courthouse a completely free and exonerated man, yet the victory is profoundly bittersweet. His reputation in Braxton is permanently stained, his family remains physically and emotionally distant, and his law practice is dead. He stands vindicated but forever changed, ready to leave his old life behind and start anew.